understanding is necessary. The Bible says that understanding is more than silver. So yes, I always love wisdom and understanding. So today, I'm just trusting God to help me to be able to share some one or two for our learning. Thank you. So before we get started, today we'll be learning some brief stuff. So we'll be learning a brief, let's go. Brief history of finance. So I think we'll go straight into that before. I won't waste much time. So after that, we'll look at the great systems. We'll look at who is money. Then from that place, we'll look at the tripartite rule. Then from that place, we'll look at the wealth assets. So we'll dive right in. So this session is going to be split into two. The first phase is going to be more on economic perspective, the world economic perspective. And the phase two is going to be about the kingdom perspective. Because of time, I wouldn't go much into the economy, the world perspective, because we are here for the kingdom. So first, media, if you can help me with some scriptures. Matthew 10:16. Matthew 10:16. KJV. Matthew 10:16. Thank you. It says, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." I always say that democracy is not what's going to save humanity. What will save humanity is in the scripture. For us to meet utopia, that's a different discussion for another time. Wise as serpents, yet harmless as doves. For us to be able to succeed, we need to work with capitalism, socialism, and add a bit of communism. So these three can come together to actually mimic the pattern that God actually placed in his intelligence for man to survive properly. The problems that we have here is because we are running a democratic rule which is powered with the capitalist system of finance. And if we get deeper into this capitalist stuff, we get to see that it is very rough and it's not like something that's smooth. Please take me to the next scripture, 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. This is Apostle Paul speaking. The reason why I like these two scriptures, and I want us to dwell on it for every discourse that we would have today, is because there is a necessity for us to love knowledge. Even scripture says, God says that if you are his priest and you despise knowledge, it's not going to do good with you. And because of the lack of knowledge, his people perishes. One thing that I've studied and I've seen is that sometimes, we think, most Christians think Satan is a fool. But we forget that he was the anointed cherubim. This guy, his position is what he lost. He didn't lose what he is. The guy was a custodian of light. And light also stands and signifies knowledge. So how do we get to work with this guy or deal with him and we think that, oh, he's just going to play a straightforward stuff? No, it's not going to be that way. He's too smart. He was even here before we came. He was on earth before the first one came, Adam. So we have to understand that he is very critical, and it is very crucial for us to understand his devices. Until then, it will be difficult for us to fight him. So we are going to dive right into it. I wrote here that the enemy plays two-sided game. The first game he plays is the illusion of reality. The illusion of reality. And secondly, he plays the deceptive spiritual game. The illusion of reality. So he's not playing a one-sided game that we will just figure him out straight ahead. No. One, he's playing an illusion of reality. So what we see as reality, there are lots of hooks in it, shams, what we call money, all that stuff. We'll dive right into it very soon. So as I said, our first phase is going to be about the world economic perspective. I want us to look at something, the difference between currency and money. I know somebody will be like, what's the difference? We know we call everything money. Let me see if I have something. Hey, I didn't bring it. Yeah, so what we call our Ghana cedis, dollars and stuff, we say what? It is money. Truth be told that it's not money. Okay. Thank you, Father. So we say this is money. Actually, it's not money. This is currency. It is not money. So money is a medium, or let me say currency. It's a medium of exchange. That's what we do now. In exchange for the barter trade system, you have some stuff, I pay for it, you give me the stuff. And secondly, it's a unit of account. So when we take this, everybody knows that it's 10 cedis. If I give you this and I tell you that it's 100 cedis, will you accept? No one will accept because what? It's what? 10 cedis, right? So it's a unit of account. Third, it is portable. Can carry this anywhere. If you are sick like what, you can still carry money, no matter how sick you are, weak, or even a dead person can carry money on him or her. So it's portable. Then we have this durable. We still have some old coins still around, so it's durable. Then divisible. If I'm buying stuff for 2 cedis and I give you 10 cedis, I'm expecting 8 cedis change. So it is divisible. So everything that I've written here, last one, it is fungible. So fungibility means that this 10 cedis here, if any of you has 10 cedi on you, when I give it to you and I take yours back, it's still the same 10 cedis. That's what makes it fungible. So when I say something is fungible, it holds its value irrespective of where it is or where it's been displaced to. So that's what the fungibility is. So now this is everything currency is. But now this is where the difference between currency and money comes in. The difference is only one. Anything money is an economic store of value. This thing we call money is not money. It has no value. This is worthless, what it is now, than what it was yesterday. We have something that we call inflation. A lot of people don't know the impact of inflation. Ghana's inflation right now is around 23.1%. What this means is that year to date, today is 5th April. If you take 5th April 2024 to now, it means that if you had 10,000 Ghana cedis in your account saved, that's why I always advise against saving. Saving is a scam. If you have 10,000 Ghana cedis saved as a last year and you think that it can do something now, no. You just lost 23.1% of that value. I like the question. Auntie Jane said, why? Right. So let's dive right into the illusion of currency and its effects. In the beginning of time, there was nothing like what we have here as money or currency. We had a barter trade system. Then from the beginning of time to the 1700s was the agricultural time. That was when we had the agrarian society, where most times dealing with land, all this kind of things like food and other stuff. But then when it grew from that place, business was difficult. Because how do I have tomatoes and then I need meat, and someone has a cow there? Let's say, like, Pastor Evangel, let me use you. So let's say you have a cow there. No, please, you guys said you have a cow, I have a tomato, but I'm going to make stew, but I need meat. But we have no medium of exchange. So then I tell you that, okay, I want you to give me your cow in exchange of tomato. Please, is it fair? Tomato for cow. It's not fair. So from that place, it started evolving. So men wanted to find out solutions for us to be able to cure this thing, because it doesn't look good. But looking at it all, one thing that always stands with this: anything of value. I have something called the values, laws of values a lot. My father taught me one, which is the law of, I have to clean this, please help me with it. The law of rarity. Anything scarce drives value. We always need to look out for things that are scarce. Scarcity is the hidden gem where value always resides in. So you look at everything, men got to a place where using shells and all that stuff, but shells were not hard to find. So I can just go to the seashore and get some shells, and I'll tell you that I have money to purchase. It was bad business. So men had to go to the place of using gold. But with respect to this gold thing, gold has value even to date, because it holds intrinsic value. It is malleable. It doesn't get spots. The gold that King Solomon and all the people used in those days, it's still there till now. Those golds are all those metals are still there. Yeah, they can be refined. You can beat it into any shape. What have you? They are all there. So then we came to the place that, okay, then we are going to use gold as what? Our medium of exchange and all that, because it qualifies for it all. It is malleable, it is durable than even what we call currency. But where the problem came from was that people who were astute and knowledgeable in finance began something what we know as the banking system. So with the banking system, you will see them, this was first a note, kind of a check. And the check was kind of, we are giving you a receipt. How many of you have used the washing, cleaning services? If you go for laundry and you take your clothing there and stuff, they give you a receipt. The receipt shows that you are authorized to claim your clothing. That is what this was. So they issued the first receipt to help people, because you can't keep your gold. You know, greedy people are all over the place. So you are like at a very risky place. You are keeping your gold on you. So then they were like, okay, then we are going to run a vault system called bank. Bring your gold. We'll issue you this receipt. Go out there, and we are going to put a stamp on it that shows that the authority of this bank shows that truly you have this amount of gold in there. So people started using this to exchange, but it got to a time, these people are very greedy. So they got to realize that everybody is accepting this. So now we've grown to the place that we believe that if you have this, it means that you have 10 cedis worth of gold claimable in a bank. I don't know if people are following me. So you have this worth of gold in the bank. But when the people saw that, okay, trust, when it comes to this issue of money, and it's all around trust. So when they got to know that, okay, people are having that thing, we trust the system and stuff, these people got greedy, and they started printing more receipts. Receipts that do not have the gold inside there. That is where it all started from. So they started printing this, giving it out for people, and when they saw that, okay, this thing is really working, they just pushed it going up until we got to the place in 1971. One of the US presidents, President Nixon, actually saw that it's going to be a challenge for them to keep up with this gold backing or this gold standard that we are using for our currency. Because for this to be valuable, it means that something needs to back it. And we all knew that gold was backing it. But now the governments are saying that they can't spend anyhow, because gold is hard to find. even though they were printing and printing, people got to know about it and it became a problem. So they came to an agreement that, okay, we are going to make sure that we stick to the rule of the game. But governments always want to spend more. So because of that, what do we have to do? We have to now make it sure that this thing will not be backed by gold. If it is not backed by gold, it means that we can print more. Then we have to get an alternative. And what is the alternative? The stamp of the government. So when you look at every currency, you see what's there. The stamp of the government, which shows the authority. So it is the government that is backing this thing called money. But this really has no value. This thing has value just because a government places a stamp on it, and we believe and trust and uphold that when I bring it to you in good faith, you will give me that service or good. That is why this thing is valuable. But in 1970, this is where the whole thing became an issue. 1971, President Nixon came out and saw that, no, we can't be doing with this currency stuff always. So then we have to put it aside. So they dropped what is called the gold standard. They dropped it down so that they can have the liberty in printing this. Because right now we don't need to account for it by what? Gold. But first, before you print this, you need to have that amount of gold sitting in your vault. But then, if we can take it off, we can print as many as we want. And that's where the whole thing started from. So this basically is an illusion. Now the question will be then, what is money? It's very simple. From all that we looked at, one of the basic things we can say is money is gold. Gold has all the stuff we said, plus it's a store of value. Gold in those times when it was backing this currency was less than $20. I don't have the statistics here, but I have the whole chart. Less than $20. Right now, gold is almost $3,000. Why? Because of deficit spending. Printing more of this is garbage and it's trash. And the more this is printed, the more inflation goes up, the more it becomes worthless. That's why you see your governments always printing this out. And somebody will be like, okay, we are talking about the dollars here, it's no problem. Yes, the dollars now is what backs every currency on this planet Earth. Because when World War I and II was going on, that is what made US. They were funding all these wars and stuff because they had a thriving economy. US is no man's land. It's a place that the colonial masters brought people together, people that they captured to be there to do their working for them. So it was a plantation hub. So it is no man's land. So it had more good life. But even till now, US is one of like the best, is actually the #1 country when it comes to GDP, per capita. So this is what actually was driving it. So this is worthless. And it became more worthless because the gold standard was taken off, which means this means nothing. This is as valuable as nothing. Right. Because this currency is now having a backing of government, is what we call fiat currency. So this is not money, this is what we call fiat currency. F-I-A-T, fiat currency. And your government always knows this. I have a chart here that shows, sorry, give me this second. It shows the number of countries. So yes, US alone has in their vaults 8,133 tons of gold in their vaults. All these countries have vaults that keeps gold, but they are selling the impression of we fighting for this, chasing the bag. Those are the terms you find on the streets. That's not what you chase for. Right. Let's dive much deeper into it this time. There has to be a paradigm shift when it comes to financial stuff. If you really want to make it in this life or in the space of finances, you have to understand the cash flow gain and the profits gain. And most importantly, you have to know where cash is going. This, as we all understand, that governments actually did this to help them with spend. So if governments, actually there's something called, I don't know if you all know the 2008 crash that happened in the world. The world economy just tanked. in 2008, everything went crumbling just because the US went down. With respect to that crumbling that went on, there has to be some system of saving for the world to be able to thrive. We are not doing much of the finance, so I'm trying not to go much deeper into it. So there was something called the QE. QE simply means quantitative easing. And this thing was just brought about by the Federal Reserve in the US. And what this just means is that we are now giving the banks, everybody just the liberty to print no matter what money you want. Feel free, print it. In the name of you are trying to ease the pressure and the tension in the economic space. So when you take somebody like some place like US, the US is in debt over $36 trillion. There was this incident that happened last month. I placed it on one of our chats. This bank called Citigroup Bank in the US, a customer wanted to transfer cash from the one account to the other. That is the only money that the person wanted to transfer was $280. And for some strange reason, they didn't transfer that, they transferred more. Please, I want 3 people to suggest how much do you think the bank made a mistake to transfer? Stargables, you try for me. Well, how much do you think? Oh, billions. Okay. Please, what do you think? More than that? $1 billion. Okay. Sofo, please, what do you think? Okay, no, you saw the food, that's right. Someone wants to be smart, you saw the food. Instead of $280, the bank ended sending 8.1 trillion. No, come to think of it, how can one bank have $8.1 trillion sent to one customer whilst business was going on in the day? It just tells us one thing. What we call money, no. Money comes to be when, ask yourself this question, why is that banks are not interested when you want to open a current account and they charge you more? Because it doesn't help business. They like savings and loans, because when you save there, they're able to take 90% of your money. 10% is only left there to just show that this person too made a deposit of this amount. The 90% they take it and loan it out for somebody else. Anytime you take a loan, whether MTN, so far it's a loan, it is created from nowhere. That is what QE is doing. So they are literally just creating money, because come to think of it, 280, then 8.1 trillion. How? And the bank was functioning. Nothing went wrong. It is very alarming, sincerely. So we need to really understand this thing when it comes to the global or economic space. Simple thing for you to do is you have to always, sometimes you are looking for an idea and stuff, just look at where the government is spending, where government is moving towards. And it is very necessary for all of us to be interested in the US, their news, whatever that is going on there, because they are printing the big, huge amounts. And as I said, since the World War I, World War II, when the global standard was removed from that place, what was backing every currency was the dollars. So this money here is backed by dollars. That is why you will begin to appreciate the move of BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and they are expanding more because they want to bring a currency that is backed by gold and natural resources, because that is correct money. But people are fighting them because they don't understand this. That's everything that, to make you understand, in between the time COVID time, the US was printing almost $2 trillion every quarter. And the more they print, that is why they are wedding. Because there is more money, but less produce. So it looks like, okay, you have 100 million US dollars and you can acquire a lot, but there is no a lot for you to acquire. So then what do I have to do as the one who sells? Then I have to up my price to meet what? The 100 million. And that is what is going on. And unfortunately, in our space, Adodi showed the shaggy. Adodi and his people showed the shaggy. They held all the money, and it even made things worse in Ghana. So you see price hiking, and there is no money, but the money is there. But these people are sat on the money. That was all this issue of, and it got to a time, Bank of Ghana said, okay, then we are going to bring what? Gold. 1 ounce of gold, half gold, ounce of gold, and quarter. People didn't understand. They were like, okay, nice. Right now we have a very simple way to get gold to purchase and stuff. But people didn't know that it was actually a strategy for the Bank of Ghana. You all know that right now the governor, ex-former governor, is wanted. Yes, he's wanted because it's very fraudulent. What they were doing with that gold is because gold can absorb cash. So this Galamsey thing, that's why it was going on a lot, because they have to get more gold so that when the gold is in, they refine it, put it in the ounce coin and all that stuff, make it very nice, palatable. Right now it's about 42,000 Ghana cedis per ounce in Ghana here. Then when you get that one, it will be able to, you have dollars, you can't take it out there. This guy, this politician, Bediatu, what's the man who had Asante Bediatu, I learned he was transferring about 20 million pounds in a private jet to the UK, and he was arrested. We that we are even in the country, we hardly see 20 million pounds. We are a black man. We are bringing 20 million pounds from Africa to our country. How come? So because of all those stuff, they can't be able to do that. Then we make more gold, let the gold absorb the trash. So they will give us the cash, then they keep the gold. You will think that you have a lot of cash, but it's just trash. If you have cash, you have to play the cash flow profits game. You have to understand how to play the assets game. You only need to keep cash on you when that cash is going to be needed for something ASAP. But until then, always lock it up. If you are playing the richest game, fine. But if you are playing the wealth game, wealthy people always lock their wealth in assets. Little will you see people locking their wealth in cash. So you always hear them say they have a cash reserve somewhere. Yes, because they know what they'll use it for. But most of their assets, their wealth is captured in assets. We'll get there in the end of everything, where I tell you people some wealth assets that you can look at. So one thing I always say that do not save, because the more you are saving, as every week, you see the 23.1%, it is split into every month, week to day. So today that we are sitting here, this thing literally can't buy what it could buy yesterday. But because it is a 0.001%, so you know, but it's very worthless.